Am I the only one who thinks the spawn here in PonyTown could use an update? It hasn't changed since about 2021, and it's not even in the best place either. I mean, if I open up my minimap here, you can see that it is at the top part of the map with nothing around it, which is fine, but I think an even better spot could be the docks for 3 reasons. For one, it gives you immediate access to players who typically advertise roleplays here, as well as their activities. And 2, it gives you the access immediately to your party island where most of those roleplays take place anyway. And finally, it adds lore that you are now a newcomer to the town who sailed here from far away. And don't get me wrong, I love how Spawn looks, and the docks have its own problems with being the new Spawn, mainly it being overwhelming since so many players are going to be hanging out there all the time, but I think it could probably be fixed if we just expanded the docks and stuff. Still though, if Spawn hasn't moved, it currently needs some touches. Spawning here means you immediately start off lost. Sure, you could follow this dirt path down and you'll eventually find this sign right here, but not all players immediately know that you can click on this sign to get the direction of certain stuff. They might not hover over it either. They may just be like, what are these symbols? What do these symbols mean? Additionally, they may not just even see this directional sign at all. So an improved Spawn would probably include a better start, perhaps a large sign that depicts the PonyTown map with some kind of welcome sign or something above it. You wouldn't even have to click this sign either. It would just show you where you are on that sign, how large the map is, or where anything else is that might be relevant. All of the information that you need would be right there at spawn, and it would make spawn look a lot nicer. You could also probably just have, like, whenever you join the game, it starts with your mini map open and it gives you some instructions on like what stuff means and everything, but that's a whole other thing. The carrot farm is a strange place on the map in general, just for a few reasons. For one, why is there even a carrot farm? We don't have farms for anything else, and carrots can be obtained fairly easy with the fruit boxes, which is kind of strange in its own way. Like, why are there even... Why are the carrots even in the fruit box? Honestly, we could probably use like a vegetable box and then the carrots could be moved to that and we could adjust some stuff around there. But either way, why does this exist? You can get them in the fruit boxes and at the marketplace very easily. So that just kind of makes this kind of a useless thing. Secondly, it looks ugly and outdated. If we take a look at this map from around 2018, you can see that it looks exactly the same today as it did back then. Which, actually, if we're being honest with ourselves right now, the carrot farm didn't even have dirt back then, and it probably didn't even have carrots in it back then, but suffice it to say, this is exactly the same, and it hasn't really changed since 2018, or maybe even older. If nothing else, let's change the shape of the farm. This corner right here could be finally squared off. We could have some rows of carrots and everything, and it would look like an actual farm of carrots and not a bunch of carrots serving prison time. Next to the carrot farm is this pumpkin farm right here, which has also not been touched since it was added at about 2018 at least. Now, it could be older than that, but the oldest map I have was from around 2018, 2017-ish. And as you can see, it looks exactly the same. Obviously, it looks a little bit different right now because it's Halloween and they're added the spookums and stuff right here, but it is essentially exactly the same and has not been touched at all. I mean, all the pumpkins are in the exact same spot. It would take less than about 2 minutes to improve this area, and it makes one wonder why it hasn't been touched in so long. I mean, we have all kinds of new items. We have the grapevines, we have the spooky vines now, which have been added very recently. There's all kinds of items. There's even just general vines that we've had for a few years now. There's so many things that they could do to this area to improve it, and it really would not take that much time at all to do it, and so it makes me wonder why they haven't. Another strange thing about this pumpkin farm is that it's not the only one. There being 2 of these pumpkin farms is really just odd and almost implies that one of these pumpkin farms was not meant to stay here this long. If we take a look at this map right here from 2024, which is the main summer map of 2024, which is the most recent map we have, we can see that that other pumpkin farm is here. And if we loaded the other old map right here, we can scroll out here and then scroll down right here, and we can see that that pumpkin farm is indeed there as well. It has not changed since 2018 at the latest. It could have had some changes since then because technically they added bushes at some point in the game, and so they added them here. But as you can see on this map, if we zoom out here and look literally anywhere on this map, bushes didn't exist back then. That's how old this map is. And apparently whenever they added bushes to the new map and this pumpkin farm, but they did not add the bushes to this farm over here, which again implies that maybe they forgot about this one or that they're intending to do something with this one later on and just haven't had the time to do it yet. That area remains exactly the same, except during winter when they replace it with a maze, a little ice maze, which is kind of nice actually. But besides that, they kind of obviously decorate this section and sections like that for Halloween. But outside of that, outside of decorating for Halloween events or any other kind of event like that, it stays exactly the same and has stayed the same since about 2018. The barrel storage here is also in dire need of an update because it has also not been touched since about 2018-ish. I mean, we have all kinds of new barrels, closed barrels, barrels with cucumbers, barrels with peaches, barrels with flowers, and even water. So if this is the town's barrel storage, what are the barrels storing? Air? Regardless, it looks outdated and strange and would take about 30 seconds to make it look much better. So again, it makes one wonder if they have some plan to replace this area. We used to also have another barrel storage area as well, so let's jump to that one now. And on our way, we can prove that the old map was indeed exactly the same. If we just zoom in right here, you can see that all the barrels are exactly the same as they are in the current version. This graveyard over here is usually empty all year round, but way back in about 2018-ish, or maybe even older than that, it used to have barrels in it. If we load that map up right here, you can see it is in the roughly the same spot. They've obviously moved the stone wall area up since then, but it used to have barrels in it, but for some reason it no longer does. And again, we can prove that by loading our other map from 2024 of summer of this year, and it no longer has barrels in it. It's very strange. It used to have barrels in it a long time ago, and sometime around when they added the beach, they moved this stone wall area up and then deleted all of the barrels for some strange reason. Now this area remains empty all year round, except during the Halloween event when they try to make it look like a graveyard. And I say try to make it look like a graveyard because this doesn't really look like a graveyard all that much. And it really wouldn't take much effort to actually improve this and make it look like a graveyard. And additionally, why is the graveyard only here during Halloween? Graveyards are not inherently Halloween. They exist all year round. Why would this area only be a graveyard during one time of the year? Very strange if you ask me, and also implies that maybe they're planning to do something with this area eventually, but since they haven't done it yet, they need to decorate it with something, and they just decide to make a graveyard during Halloween. Here is the other side of the map, which also for some reason has another one of these stone wall areas, and it's also empty year round. If we load up the map, I can prove it to you real quick. This is the 2024 summer map. As you can see, it is empty. It has a couple flowers in it and some rose bushes, but more or less it's empty all year round, except again during Halloween when they try to make it a graveyard. Again, this graveyard is much better than the other one in my opinion, but it's very strange that we now have two of these. And why isn't this just year round? Why isn't this graveyard just here all year round? It makes the other one feel really off by comparison because this one just looks much better, and it wouldn't be too difficult to fix this up. I mean, I guess it would be a little bit difficult to fix this one up if you wanted to make it a permanent graveyard, because they could throw in a mausoleum structure here, maybe some new gravestone items and some other items here and there, and it would make this area look a lot better if it was to remain here all year and not empty all year. Additionally, it would be cool if they were going to do that and make this like a proper graveyard and that stayed here all year round. Maybe you could go into the mausoleum and it goes into like a catacombs area that connects to the caves, but that's a whole separate thing. The pool is our last stop here today, and it honestly does not look much better than the other areas we visited despite it being much newer. For one, you can barely tell this is even a swimming pool. I've seen much better pools on random players' islands, and they could be made in less than a couple of minutes. Additionally, the dev tools allow them to place water in such a way that these cliffs are not visible. Obviously, it's not really like a cliff, I guess. It's just more of like these edges, these ugly edges that are like there whenever you place water. They can just not have those. That's something that the dev tools allow for. And so with the same amount of time a player would give to a swimming pool, they could make this look a million times better with just some small changes there. The pool is also not square for some reason, which is a very strange thing in its own way. One half of this is much bigger. Obviously, this side here is much bigger than the other side, and it makes me wonder if this is to imply that this is the deep end and that's why the diving board is over there, or and like this side is like the shallow end or whatever of a swimming pool. But they can literally do that. So if that is the case, if they are trying to depict that this is the shallow end and this is the deep end, they can literally just do that. They can have a shallow end and a deep end. They literally did that at the beach, and this was added when they added the beach, so it's very strange. The diving board itself could also get an excellent update. It could introduce a proper diving board, but even if they didn't want to do that, this area right here needs a little bit of work, because not only is this fence kind of in a weird place in general, like why is it here? It definitely needs to be moved back, if nothing else, because this area right here by the diving board is very cramped. You have these posts right here and the diving board here. This tree could probably be moved too, because you can't hardly see yourself when you're walking up here, but that's a whole separate thing. Either way, this area right here is very cramped, and it does not look that good, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to actually access that diving board. Lastly, the pool itself is surrounded by dirt instead of the several better options that exist and did exist way back then, such as the dark or light tiles, the stone, the brick, literally almost anything else. You even could have used wood tiles for this or something, and it still would have looked much better. And honestly, this area has so much room for improvement. The sheer amount of ways to improve this area is so shocking and so drastic that I have no choice but to believe that this swimming pool is a placeholder for a better swimming pool that will eventually come out at some point. There's no way this is the official swimming pool and that it will never have a change. This is just not good. But there you have it. That is all the places on the map that I think need a big update. Let me know what you think, where you think needs an update the most, and what that area could do with that update. The last thing I want to say also, by the way, is this, because I don't mean any hate by any of this. Like, I know it takes a lot of work to work on the map. There's a lot that goes into it. And they do excellent work. Like, literally everywhere else is perfect. I mean, the marketplace here is perfect. I wouldn't really change anything about it, honestly. There's so many excellent areas like this, but there's some areas like that need so much work and haven't been touched in so long. And I feel it's necessary to be critical of these things, because I feel like they won't change if people aren't critical of them, if that makes sense. And so I think it's necessary to be critical and give my opinions on this, and don't hold back on them, because I feel like it's necessary for improvement, especially when I can see so much potential in these areas. I mean, that area over there on the right side could definitely be a graveyard year round. It could have the mausoleum and everything. There's so much potential in that, and I think it's necessary to share that potential and share those ideas and suggestions and stuff like that. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all of those wonderful things like that. Because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself. And I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.